All right, so I'm definitely late to the party when it comes to discussing this video, this speech that the CEO of Spotify had originally put out, but I definitely wanted to weigh in because I have thoughts. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Nefertiti Gold and I'm an electronic R&B artist. Now, as I mentioned, I'm definitely late to the party, so please forgive me if I'm just weighing in a little too late for your personal liking. Life has been lifing. I've been busy. I've been kind of under the weather on top of really gnarly dentist appointments. And on top of it, I was busy releasing my latest single, Runaway, which is streaming everywhere. And speaking of streaming, let's get into it. The CEO of Spotify put out a statement online that, I ain't gonna hold you, kind of triggered me just a little bit. And before we get too far into it, I definitely want to actually play that video for you so that we have the full context of what was said.
Everyone, so about a week ago, Spotify announced that we've now paid out more than $9 billion to the music industry in 2023. And that in the entire history of Spotify, we've now paid out more than $48 billion. The reason why I'm doing this video is I'm getting a lot of questions around artist payouts. Spotify does not pay out to artists individually. So when we pay out, we do pay out to record companies, to publishers, and to collecting societies. Which means that sometimes when I see these kind of artist statements around an artist making X, etc., it's really difficult for me to pinpoint why that is, because it can depend on some of these contracts that artist or composer ended up having with their publisher or with their record company. But then the second part is, how is it that Spotify can say on the one hand that we are paying out more and more back to the music industry is growing, more artists are benefiting from it, but yet anecdotally you're hearing from artists how they are unhappy about the payouts they're getting from streaming. How could those two things be true? Well, the paradox is they can be true at the same time. It is true that Spotify is paying out more and more each year. And it is also equally true that more artists than ever is benefiting from that payouts. So there are more and more artists that can live off of music, which is amazing. But at the same time, that more and more artists are trying to make it in music. So how should we think about this? Well, the best analogy that I would have is that the music industry is a very, very difficult industry to make it in, kind of similar like professional sports. So if you take football, it's played by hundreds of millions of people around the world, but yet there's a very, very small number of people that can live off of playing soccer full time. FIFA tells us that there's about 100,000 people that can make it in football or soccer right now professionally, out of hundreds of millions of people that are trying. In the music industry, there's obviously hundreds of millions of people who are playing some kind of instrument or singing or playing music. And there's probably tens of millions of people who are trying to make it in the music industry. And there's more than 100,000 people that can live off of music. It's probably many hundreds of thousands, but it's not many millions. So on a percentage basis, as more and more people can make music in an affordable way with their laptops, etc., more and more people are trying. Well, the next thing that I hear is that, okay, well, I buy that you, Spotify, are paying out more and more to the music industry, but it only goes to the superstar artists. Well, out of the $9 billion that we paid out to the music industry last year, around $4.5 billion, so around half of that money went to the independent sector, which means that there's a lot of these up-and-coming artists that are now succeeding at Spotify, making it, and can now finally live off of making music full time, which is something we're very, very proud of. So again, that doesn't mean, of course, that all of these things with Spotify or the payouts systems are where we'd like it to be. We are striving each and every day to make Spotify better for more and more artists and to make the system work for more and more people. And we will keep on doing that. Go check out Loud and Clear to get some more intel and give me feedback on this. Let me know how it worked for you and if there's other questions that I can answer. But thanks, everyone.
Now, the part of the statement that really resonated with a lot of people, and not necessarily in the most positive sense, is comparing musicians to football players. And in America, it's soccer. Now, the issue that I have with this comparison is that you're taking something that is extremely subjective, like music and art, and you're comparing it to an athletic sport, which, let's be really honest, we can actually measure athleticism. We can measure how fast somebody runs. We can measure how high they jump. We can measure how much they can lift. We can measure body fat percentages, among other things. We can measure a lot of things. We can measure the differences between why someone might play in a pro league versus an amateur league. Now, when it comes to music, we know what it is. We know that there are a lot of popular artists that are not great, and that there are a lot of great artists that aren't popular. So for me, the comparison is piss poor. It's piss poor. Now, currently, I've seen a lot of videos online with everybody really stressing the direct-to-consumer model. And the only real issue that I have with that is that a lot of people are stressing the direct-to-consumer as the end-all, be-all solution, and it's not. And the reason why it's not the solution is because we're taking a problem that was created by companies and corporations, and we're asking our consumers and our fans to be the ones to fix it. Because let's be really honest, at the end of the day, streaming fixed the piracy issue. If you released an album and nobody's buying your CDs because they're downloading it off of LimeWire, listen, Spotify fixed that problem. I will give flowers where flowers are due. But the problem of direct to consumer, or trying to make all of our music, every single artist, direct to consumer, is that at some point you are going to reintroduce piracy yet again. So the main reason why direct to consumer is not the issue is because we're asking our consumers, our fans, we're asking them to, at the end of the day, we're asking them to pay more than $10 a month in order to support us. And I think in the midst of the glamour of talking about direct to consumer, we forget the fact that we are living in probably the worst financial times. At least for middle class working America, the working citizen, it's tough for us right now. Shit is expensive. Mortgage rates are up, groceries are costing a grip, and God forbid you want to live in a 1-bedroom apartment with a minimum wage job anywhere in the United States. I think while we're so hyped up and trying to figure out a way to get our fans to just only pay for us, there's a bunch of us, and not everybody can afford to pay $20 here for a t-shirt, $5 here for X, Y, and Z, maybe $2 for this. It's a lot. It's a lot. We're taking that burden and we're telling our fans to do more when it's already so hard to do what we can. So me and my manager, we've been trying to figure out like what is a good balance of everything. And for the time being, my business model is currently mixed. My music is still on Spotify. My music is still on streaming services because at the end of the day, I respect the working citizen. I respect those that cannot give more than what they can at that moment. And I don't want to stress you out to give me more money if you don't necessarily have it. But at the same time, for those who might have a little bit of extra discretionary income to spend, there are going to be those direct to consumer options. I have merch on the website. If you want to support me on a monthly basis, you can sign up for Patreon at the lowest tier, which is $5 a month. I post up a lot of content on there, a lot of BTS, a lot of the stuff that I end up posting on Instagram and YouTube ends up on my Patreon first. My latest single, Runaway, which is streaming everywhere, I put that on my Patreon like a week before it came out. I like sharing tips and tricks and just a lot of random stuff to try to give you more bang for your buck if you do decide to sign up for my Patreon. But if all you can do for the time being is hit that like button, hit subscribe, and just stream it on Spotify, then that's okay too. I'm not trying to stress nobody or my fans to spend more that they might not even have. And the reason for that is at the end of the day, our music is a reason why people can get through their day. And I don't think we should limit access to art. With that said, I want to know what you guys think about this video. What do you think about everything that's going on? I want to hear your 2 cents. Leave it in the comments below. I'll be interacting and I'll see you in the next video.